We live in interesting times.
For the headlines.
Two Reuters journalists jailed for their reporting on the Rohingya crisis in Myanmar walk out of prison, freed in a presidential amnesty.
A powerful but deep 7.2 magnitude earthquake rocked Papua New Guinea.
The Philippine National Police expressed doubt over the identity of the man claiming to be Bikoy in a series of videos called Ang Totoong Narcolist, which tagged the family and allies of President Duterte in the illegal drug trade.
And thrilled Britons bet on baby names, and congratulations poured in after Prince Henry and Meghan welcomed the royal family's first known mixed-race member.
I'm Alma Angeles, wherever you're watching from around the world. Thank you very much for joining us.
We welcome our viewers here in the Philippines and around the world. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Cepeda.
And now to the news. Two Reuters journalists who had been jailed for their reporting on the Rohingya crisis in Myanmar walked out of prison, freed in a presidential amnesty after a global campaign for their release. Walon and Kiao So-u were mobbed by media as they stepped out of Yangon's notorious insane prison after their lengthy detention. Walon, 33, thanked the people from around the world for advocating for their release, and he vowed he would return to work.
I'm really happy and excited to see my family and my colleagues, and I can't wait to go my newsroom.
Their December 2017 arrests made them an international cause celebre and a sign of Myanmar's deteriorating press freedoms under Nobel laureate and civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi. The pair were convicted on charges of violating the Official Secrets Act and then sentenced to 7 years each. At the time of their arrest, they had been reporting on a September 2017 massacre of 10 Rohingya Muslims in the conflict-hit Rakhine State, where the Myanmar army forced some 740,000 of the stateless minority to flee over the border to Bangladesh. While inside, the duo missed numerous family milestones, including the birth of Walon's daughter. But they were also showered with numerous awards and honors in response to their work. Last month, Walon and Kiao So-u won the prestigious Pulitzer Prize. They were also featured earlier on the cover of the Time magazine as part of its Person of the Year coverage, featuring journalists targeted for their reporting.
Meanwhile, the two Reuters journalists were reunited with their families after being released in a presidential amnesty on Tuesday.
We are really happy and excited to see our families and colleagues, and I don't know what to say. We are very excited.
What
are you going to say to Peggy when you see her?
I usually bring iced coffee for her all the time, being home late. So I will buy coffee for her, and I will say how much I love her and how much I love my family.
The editor-in-chief of Reuters says he is enormously pleased that Myanmar has released the news agency's two journalists from jail. They were freed in a presidential amnesty after a vigorous global campaign for their release.
We are enormously pleased that Myanmar has released our courageous reporters, Walon and Kiao So-u. Since their arrest 511 days ago, they have become symbols of the importance of press freedom around the world. We welcome their return.
Meanwhile, Aung San Suu Kyi's confidant Lord Ara Darzi paid tribute to the released Reuters journalists in Myanmar. He said that dialogue works. Take a look.
It's perhaps fitting that they should have been released just a few days after the World Press Freedom Day. Today the world is watching, and the lesson is simple. Dialogue works, even in the most difficult circumstances.
They were freed in an amnesty that included more than 6,000 prisoners. A government spokesman told reporters that family members had sent letters to Suu Kyi and the president Win Myint. Suu Kyi led her National League for Democracy party to victory in historic 2015 polls, ending decades of military-backed rule. But the dreams of a new day for Myanmar were short-lived. The army launched a campaign against the Rohingya in Rakhine State, which UN investigators have said amounted to genocide. But Myanmar has denied the charges and said it was defending itself against Rohingya militants who attacked and killed police officers in August of 2017.
A powerful but deep 7.2 magnitude earthquake rocked Papua New Guinea on Tuesday. The quake struck at a depth of 127 kilometers, about 30 kilometers from the town of Bulolo at 2119 GMT Monday, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, and was felt in the capital Port Moresby, about 250 kilometers away. Staff at Bulolo's Pine Lodge Hotel said there was very minor damage from objects falling off tables, but nothing more serious. Residents in Ley, more than 100 kilometers away, said the quake knocked things off shelves and worktops and cut electricity in some areas. There are estimated to be around 110,000 people living within 50 kilometers of the epicenter, according to UN data. The Moresby-based National Disaster Management Office said, while there were no early reports of damage, but news from the quake zone could take time to trickle in. The country's rugged highlands region was hit by a 7.5 magnitude quake in February last year that buried homes and triggered landslides, killing at least 125 people. The scale of that disaster did not become apparent for days due to PNG's poor communications and infrastructure. There are regular earthquakes in Papua New Guinea, which sits on the so-called Pacific Ring of Fire, a hotspot for seismic activity due to friction between tectonic plates.
Welcome back. The Philippine National Police expressed doubt over the identity of the man claiming to be Bikoy in a series of videos called Ang Totoong Narco List, which tagged the family and allies of President Duterte in the illegal drug trade. Now, the PNP chief said that based on PNP's profiling, Peter Jomel Advincula was convicted of large-scale estafa and was sentenced to 6 years imprisonment, and also has a standing estafa case filed by the NBI. He said that Advincula might have used his background as a former seminarian to deceive people. Advincula surfaced a few days after the NBI arrested Rodel Jaime, a freelance website developer, in connection with the Bikoy videos.
May assessment nyo so far? Well, unang-una, hindi naman natin din-discredit si Bikoy. Number one is, we really can't say if yung nagpakilala kahapon is the true Bikoy. Remember, Bikoy showed himself naka-mask, no? Hindi natin masabi na siya talaga yon. That's what he says. That's what he's been saying. Actually, sinasabi niya siya si Bikoy. But that has to be validated also and confirmed kung talagang siya si Bikoy. No? Dahil nagsalita siya with mask yun. Di ba? But with the voice, hindi natin masabi kasi hindi rin tayo expert dun sa magsabi kung yung voice ba ay pareho and one and the same person. So, na isa ito, kailangan i-confirm natin na Bikoy na lumabas at siya yung nagpakilala, Mr. Advincula, hindi yung magkamali, is one and the same person. No? Based dun sa paglabas naman, nung lumabas mismo yung at sinabi niya ang kanyang pangalan, we conducted profiling again, on this Advincula. No? Lumalabas na itong tao na to, he was convicted for large-scale illegal recruitment. And he was sentenced to serve term for 6 years. No? 6 years. Medyo na-shorten lang yung actually 10 years kung di ako magkamali yung sentence niya. But it was shortened because of good behavior. And as of this time, per verification, I think you also have a standing case of estafa na pending sa NBI. So ito yung tinitingnan din natin.
Ang problema kasi,
Meanwhile, Malacanang also questioned the credibility of the man claiming to be Bikoy. Peter Jomel Advincula, who claimed to be Bikoy, appeared at the IBP, or Integrated Bar of the Philippine office in Pasig City on Monday to seek legal assistance after claiming there were threats to his life.
ang problema kasi, sirang-sira na itong si Bikoy eh. Bikoy parang, yung pangalan niya parang ano no, parang pagkain. Kasi, di ba? Kasi tingnan nyo, yun lang kay Bong Go, nasira na siya doon. Nilabas na naman kahapon yung likod niya, linis. Number 2, yung mga binanggit niya noon, yung Rural Bank o Ginubatan Albay, nagsalita na rin, walang katotohanan. Yung isa pang resort, ganun din. Plus, ang kredibilidad niya, napaka bagsak. Convicted pala siya. Tapos marami pang kaso. At merong, hindi ko lang muna po pwede sabihin nga, but merong nakikita yung mga nag-iimbestiga na could be a bombshell from the way I look at it. Pero hindi ko na muna sasabihin. But very obvious na it's a black propaganda, and it's also obvious that he's only being, parang ano lang siya rito, phone, ginagamit. It is a significant development that will show that indeed there are people behind the ouster of the president. Because that video is definitely a move to discredit the president, for the people to lose trust in this president.
Senatorial aspirant Christopher Bong Go once again took off his shirt to show his bare back and disproved the allegations made by Peter Jomel Advincula, the man claiming to be Bikoy, that he had a dragon tattoo on his back linked allegedly to illegal drugs. Go said Advincula's allegations were all malicious black propaganda and hinted that it could be the work of the opposition. And once again, he showed to the media his bare back to prove that it had no markings, much less a tattoo. He said that this would be the last time that he would do so, as he would look like a fool if he would do this. He had showed his bare back in April when the first Bikoy video came out, alleging that he had a tattoo on his back, which allegedly proved he was connected to the illegal drug trade. While Go did not directly say that Ocho Derecho candidates were behind the Bikoy videos, he said that those behind Bikoy were people who would not stop at nothing and would even use black propaganda to achieve their goal.
Alam nyo, panahon to ng politika eh. Kukulayan kami. Nadadamay na po ang pamilyang Duterte. Dinadamay nila ang mga akusasyon laban sa pamilyang Duterte. At marumi. Kinukulayan kami ng itim para sila ay pumuti. Black propaganda, malicious, panahon ng eleksyon, kanya-kanyang siraan. I'm not directly accusing them, but this is the political season, panahon ng politika, kanya-kanyang batuhan. At nakita niyo naman po kung sino yung nag-download ng video. So, kami po, hindi kami mahilig sa maruming pamumulitika. Isa lang po kaming probinsyano, taga Davao lang po kami. Pumunta po rito kami ng Maynila, nangangampanya, at nakipaglaban po para pagpatuloy yung pagbabagong inumpisahan ni Pangulong Duterte. Gusto ko lang po magkomento.
For his part, Senator Bam Aquino, who is running under the Ocho Derechos slate, reacted to Go's statement. Aquino was also at the launching of the 10 Million Trees Challenge upon Senator Tito Soto's invitation. He denied any links to Advincula or to the Bikoy video series. He also took offense to Go's statement that the administration bets had not engaged in black propaganda.
Hindi naman totoo na yung grupo ninyo walang black propaganda, Bong. 2-3 taon nyo na kami black propaganda. So to be fair, at least fair lang. Kung gusto mo, tama na yung black propaganda. Mangako tayo ngayon. Pero yung mga grupo ninyo, yung mga pakawalan ninyo, yung mga nag-fake news sa inyo, tigil nyo na rin sila. Diba? Kasi, I mean, ikaw sabi mo kanina, hindi kayo ayaw nyo mag-black propaganda. Hindi naman totoo yun.
In the end, the two senatorial aspirants shook hands in Soto's instigation.
In other news, Malacanang said the Canadian government has committed to shoulder all the expenses of shipping out all 69 containers of trash dumped in the Philippines back in 2013. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said the Department of Foreign Affairs and the Department of Environment and Natural Resources made the assurance during Monday night's cabinet meeting in Malacanang. Late last month, President Duterte gave Canada an ultimatum to take back its trash, warning that he would dump the trash back on their beaches if they would not comply. In a palace briefing, Panelo said the president has also ordered the Bureau of Customs not to accept foreign waste. Panelo also said the chief executive is giving Canada until May 15 to retrieve its garbage.
They were given, the president gave May 15 as a deadline. If they cannot get that, then we will be shipping them out and throw them to the shores or beach of Canada.
One million animal and plant species now face extinction, many within decades. According to a landmark UN assessment of the state of nature released Monday, humanity is rapidly destroying the natural world upon which our prosperity and ultimately our survival depends. Drawing from 15,000 sources and an underlying 1,800-page report, the executive summary details how our growing footprint and appetites have compromised the natural renewal of resources that sustain civilization, starting with fresh water, breathable air, and productive soil. Climate change and biodiversity loss, it turns out, feed off each other in a vicious cycle. Robert Watson chaired the 132-nation meeting that validated a summary for policymakers forged by 450 experts.
I'm often asked, what is the scale of the problem and what is the urgency? The scale is immense. If we do not act now, many of the million threatened species will become as extinct as the dodo on this tide. I also ask, what is the urgency? The urgency, I wear cufflinks. These cufflinks of watches show me and remind me we have no time to waste. The time for action is now. This report hopefully will stimulate the world to report. Thank you.
What it shows is that our local and regional impacts have now aggregated at a global scale and are having cascading impacts on us. So we see that the number of species threatened to extinction, for instance, has increased and accelerated to a very high level. estimated at about 1 million species today threatened to extinction. But it's not only the species that are the issue, is that we have put pressures on all other components of the environment. That at the global level now, we have not only affect the climate, but affect the oceans, affect wetlands at a scale never before. And that's having a cascading impact on societies everywhere. But what's important, and I think a really important message of this report, is that we cannot look at climate change in isolation from nature, from biodiversity, and from societal change. What makes climate change impactful is because it interacts with the stresses that we have put in the environment already. So it's not climate change per se, or the societal and environmental conditions upon which climate change acts. So we need change in the whole value chain, from production to consumption. So it includes the impacts on nature as part of our economic systems. We also need to implement the policies that we have already developed. You know, there's a lot of responses. We are not the first one to do an alert, right? We're the most comprehensive one that allows us to say that the situation is critical. We also need new forms of thinking. We need more cross-sectoral thinking. We need to bring the different sectors of the economy and society to work together. You know, we cannot thinking about agriculture without thinking about water, not thinking about energy without thinking about the impact it has on nature. So we need cross-sectoral collaboration in planning that accounts for the trade-offs that we have in our different activities.
In other news, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the U.S. will strengthen its Arctic presence to keep in check the aggressive behavior of China and Russia in the resource-rich region. Speaking ahead of talks in Finland between the 8 Arctic states, Pompeo warned that the region has become an arena of global power and competition, thanks to its vast reserves of oil, gas, minerals, and fish stocks. He denounced attempts by China, which has observer status on the Arctic Council, to style itself as a near-Arctic state, citing Pentagon fears that China is seeking to establish a permanent security presence in the polar region, including by deploying submarines as a deterrent against nuclear attacks.
Beijing claims to be a near-Arctic state, yet the shortest distance between China and the Arctic is 900 miles. There are only Arctic states and non-Arctic states. No third category exists, and claiming otherwise entitles China to exactly nothing. China's pattern of aggressive behavior elsewhere should inform what we do and how it might treat the Arctic. Let's just ask ourselves, do we want Arctic nations broadly, or indigenous communities specifically, to go the way of former government in Sri Lanka or Malaysia, ensnared by debt and corruption?
Pompeo also slammed Russian territorial claims on new, faster trade routes opening up through the region due to melting sea ice.
We're concerned about Russia's claim over the international waters of the Northern Sea Route, including its newly announced plans to connect it with China's maritime Silk Road. These provocative actions are part of a pattern of aggressive Russian behavior here in the Arctic. Russia is already leaving snowprints in the form of army boots.
He also said Russia had carved a pattern of aggressive behavior in the region, opening up old military bases and deep water ports, and installed sophisticated new air defense systems and anti-ship missiles to secure their Arctic presence.
In the Northern Sea Route, Moscow already illegally demands other nations request permission to pass, requires Russian maritime pilots to be aboard foreign ships, and threatens to use military force to sink any that fail to comply with their demands. We know Russian territorial ambitions can turn violent. 13,000 people have been killed due to Russia's ongoing aggressive action in Ukraine. And just because the Arctic is a place of wilderness does not mean it should become a place of lawlessness. It need not be the case.
Meanwhile, Russia has previously insisted that Moscow's drive for military and economic development in the Arctic is not a threat to other countries. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said at an Arctic forum in St. Petersburg last month that they're not doing anything else besides ensuring security of their country. Take a look.
Знаете, мы не занимаемся ничем, кроме как принятием необходимых мер для обеспечения безопасности своей страны. Все, что мы делаем в арктическом регионе, так же, как и в любом другом регионе Российской Федерации, нацелено именно и исключительно на это. Мы никому не угрожаем. Мы обеспечиваем необходимые оборонные возможности с учетом той военно-политической ситуации, которая складывается вокруг наших границ. И могу...
Venezuela's opposition leader Juan Guaido says that people who had pledged support for his abortive uprising last week had failed to follow through to dislodge President Nicolas Maduro and add that it doesn't mean that they won't do it or do it soon.
Hubo gente que faltó por cumplir, digamos, de esta manera, y no quiere decir que no lo hagan, por cierto. No quiere decir que no lo hagan pronto. Por eso cuando yo decía hace unos días en una entrevista, es precisamente que estamos esperando que muchos más no solamente cumplan con su palabra, sino con su país en definitiva. Y como ya habrán visto y como ya es obvio hoy, ahí el descontento que es generalizado en el país no se escapa de la Fuerza Armada. Nosotros sabemos, los venezolanos, desde siempre que el sacrificio que hemos hecho, que hemos invertido, va a tener resultados. Hemos construido mayoría, hemos hecho todo lo que tenemos que hacer como ciudadanos. Hoy estamos diciendo que lo que les falta por hacer, en el caso de la Fuerza Armada, algunos de los empleados públicos, que venzan el miedo y terminen de hacerlo, y soy muy optimista que estamos muy cerca de lograr el cambio en Venezuela.
The 35-year-old National Assembly chief has branded Maduro a usurper over his controversial re-election last year, and in January declared himself acting president, plunging Venezuela into a political crisis that deepened its already grave economic woes. But Maduro has held firm, bolstered by the continued support of the powerful armed forces. The attempted uprising set off 2 days of violent clashes between security forces and protesters that left 5 people dead, dozens injured, and more than 233 arrested. Authorities have also issued 18 arrest warrants against civilians and military plotters, according to Attorney General Tarek William Saab.
Y de estar listos y prestos para defender la patria con las armas en la mano si algún día el imperio norteamericano osara tocar esta tierra.
And to the UK now, where thrilled Britons bet on baby names and congratulations poured in after Prince Harry and Meghan welcomed their royal family's first known mixed-race member. Harry on Monday announced the birth of the couple's first, a son who will be 7th in the long line to the British throne.
Yes, I'm very excited to announce that Meghan and myself had a baby boy early this morning, a very healthy boy. Mother and baby are doing incredibly well. It's been the most amazing experience I could ever possibly imagine. How any woman does what they do is beyond comprehension, but we're both absolutely thrilled and so grateful to all the love and support for everybody out there, from everybody out there. It's been amazing. So we just wanted to share this with everybody. Still thinking about names, Alan. It's yeah, the baby's a little bit overdue, so we've had a little bit of time to think about it. But yeah, we're still. That's the next bit. But for us, I think we'll be seeing you guys in probably 2 days' time, as planned, as a family, to be able to share it with you guys and so everyone can see the baby. I haven't been at many births. This is definitely my first birth, but it was amazing, absolutely incredible. And as I said, I'm so incredibly proud of my wife. And as every father and parent would ever say, you know, your baby is absolutely amazing, but this little thing is absolutely to die for. So I'm just over the moon.
'Cause 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 ' Meghan and Harry have been busy ever since, changing traditions, bringing the dynasty more into line with modern tastes and that little bit closer to the people. The American last year made waves in Britain by closing her own car door, a task usually performed by aides. Now the couple also announced the birth. It's a boy to their 6.4 million followers on Instagram. But perhaps most importantly, Meghan decided to ignore past practice by keeping the birth private and well out of the prying media's eyes. With the birth being private, most UK media assumed Monday that Meghan had opted for a home delivery, but not so, said the Daily Mail on Tuesday, announcing that overdue Meghan's home birth dream was dashed as she was secretly whisked to a London hospital on Sunday by Harry and his Scotland Yard security team. The Sun, a competing tabloid, breathlessly reported that Meghan was a week overdue and ended up being secretly rushed to a £15,000 a night London hospital before giving birth at exactly sunrise. The Daily Mail also countered that the birth came 3 minutes later. A spokesman for Buckingham Palace said only that such details should be revealed when the birth is officially registered, most likely later this week.
Oh, it's wonderful. We live right on the corner and it's lovely. It's just like a second royal wedding. It's a lovely, lovely atmosphere and we're very thrilled for them.
With all the things that are going around the world, some happy news is always good, and it's exciting. I mean, I was here when they got married, and it was really, really good for the country.
So I really hope that being the first baby of mixed ethnicity descent would hopefully bring back with the royal family some kind of difference, that they are more regular, normal people, which I think with Harry and William that they've been trying to do, be a bit more down to earth and not be so much rich and poor, and hopefully bridge that gap.
U.S. President Donald Trump, an avid golfer and the owner of several golf courses, rewards Tiger Woods with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor, in the White House Rose Garden.
He inspired millions of young Americans with his thrilling wire-to-wire victories. Tiger Woods is a global symbol of American excellence, devotion, and drive. As of today, Tiger has 81 PGA Tour victories, one behind the all-time record. Going to catch that soon. He's won the second most major championships. He holds the record for most weeks at #1 in the world, more than twice as long as anyone else. That's an amazing number.
Established by John F. Kennedy in 1963, the Presidential Medal of Freedom is bestowed upon those who have made an especially meritorious contribution to U.S. security or national interests, world peace, cultural pursuits, or other non-specified endeavors. It has been awarded to nearly 3 dozen sports figures, including golf legends Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, honored by President George W. Bush. President Barack Obama gave the medal in 2014 to Charlie Sifford, the first African-American golfer to play on the PGA Tour. Woods, 43, choked up as he thanked his mother, his 2 children, his girlfriend, and his caddy during the ceremony in the White House Rose Garden.
I want to say this has been an unbelievable experience, and to have the support that I've had for all these years, and everyone here has seen and been with me for, some of you for my entire life, and some of you for more than half my life. I've battled. I've tried to hang in there, and I've tried to come back and play the great game of golf again. I've been lucky enough to have had the opportunity to do it again, and I found a game that has allowed me to do this.
Welcome back. First-time job seekers will no longer have to pay for fees when they acquire government documents needed for employment. Now this after President Duterte on April 10 signed Republic Act 11261, or the First-Time Job Seekers Assistance Act, a copy of which was released to media today. Under the new law, government fees and charges are waived in the issuance of documents required in the application of first-time job seekers, so long as they submit a barangay certificate or barangay certification as proof. The law covers not only fresh graduates but also out-of-school youth. These documents include police clearance certificate, National Bureau of Investigation clearance, barangay clearance, medical certificate, birth certificate, marriage certificate, transcript of academic records issued by state colleges and universities, tax identification number or TIN, unified multi-purpose ID, and other documentary requirements issued by the government that may be required by employers. The law creates an interagency monitoring committee in charge of monitoring the compliance of the concerned government agencies and instrumentalities, and they may recommend to the proper authorities the filing of an administrative complaint against any person who refuses to comply with the provisions of the Act.
Eurozone stock markets extended losses Tuesday and Asia traded mixed as investors await the latest twists and turns over U.S.-China trade talks. London stock market slid 1.0% with the benchmark FTSE 100 index playing catch up after a long holiday weekend in Britain. Tokyo slumped 1.5% as dealers there returned after being off for 6 working days, while Seoul dropped 0.9% following a long weekend. The U.S.-China one step forward, two step back hurt U.S. markets late Monday and extended into Asian and European trading, noted Fiona Singkota, senior market analyst at Citi Index Traders. Indices had slumped Monday, with Shanghai suffering its heaviest loss in 3 years after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to hike tariffs on $200 billion of Chinese goods amid apparent setbacks in trade talks between the economic superpowers. Trump's remarks shocked markets, coming just days after officials on both sides had sounded positive on the talks, with markets broadly expecting an agreement to be announced soon.
The International Monetary Fund, meanwhile, warned tensions between the economic superpowers were a threat to the world economy. Clearly, the tensions between the U.S. and China are the threat for the world economy, according to Christine Lagarde to journalists at a conference in Paris, adding that recent rumors and tweets made an agreement between the countries less likely. President Trump jolted global markets on Monday by threatening on Twitter that tariffs already imposed on $200 billion in Chinese exports to U.S. would more than double to 25% on Friday from their current level of 10%. Also speaking at the Paris Forum event, French Economy Minister Bruno Le Maire warned about the impact of a trade war between the world's two biggest economies.
La croissance mondiale ralentit et la première raison pour laquelle la croissance mondiale ralentit, c'est le risque de guerre commerciale. Et je veux redire à quel point ma principale préoccupation, la principale préoccupation française et européenne, reste le risque de guerre mondiale et de conflit commercial mondial animé par les tensions commerciales entre la Chine et les États-Unis.
China said Tuesday its top trade negotiator will visit the United States for talks with its American counterparts this week. The countries have been locked in talks to resolve tensions that have seen both of them impose tariffs on goods worth $360 billion. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin has described the negotiations as 90% complete, but told reporters that in recent days the talks went substantially backward, which he blamed on China reneging on previous commitments.
A Singapore-based network infrastructure firm will be investing around $2 billion to roll out fiber optic cables over the next 10 years to further improve internet services in the Philippines. In a statement on Monday, the Department of Information and Communications and Technology said Hayal Route Group will deploy fiber cables through the Fiber Optic Cable FOC network initiative of its subsidiary Philippine Fiber Optic Cable Network Limited, incorporated in various phases between 2019 to 2028. Acting Secretary Eliseo M. Rio Jr. said there is a need for more fiber optic cables in this country, thus this partnership will greatly improve our telecommunication services. We can now have cable networks that anybody can use, and this jives with our national broadband plan. The rollout of the fiber optic cables will also form part of the DICT's free public Wi-Fi network to reach the unserved and underserved areas in the country.
13-101 victory over the Celtics in Boston in a commanding 3-1 series lead. Milwaukee will try to punch their ticket to the Eastern Conference Finals when they host Game 5 on Wednesday. In Houston, reigning NBA Most Valuable Player Harden made sure the Rockets didn't fall into a similar hole. Harden scored 13 of his 18 first-half points in the second quarter and added another 13 in the third when the Rockets stretched their lead to as many as 17. The Warriors responded with an 11-0 scoring run in the third period and put together a 7-0 run late in the fourth when they pulled within 108-110 on a Stephen Curry three-pointer with 19.3 seconds left. Down 111-108 with 11.5 seconds remaining, Golden State saw Kevin Durant and Curry miss three-point attempts. Eric Gordon added 20 points for the Rockets and PJ Tucker added 17 and 10 rebounds. Durant paced the Warriors with 34 points, Curry added 30 points, and Draymond Green posted a double-double of 15 points and 10 rebounds. But in another bruising encounter between two teams, Golden State made just 8 of 33 point attempts. Curry and Klay Thompson combined 2 shots, just 2 of 10 from 3-point range. Once again in their series, the third quarter proved pivotal with the Bucks scoring the Celtics 33-23 to turn a 49-47 halftime deficit to an 80-72 lead. The turnaround came with Antetokounmpo on the bench with his fourth foul for the last 8 minutes of the quarter. During that span, the Bucks outscored the Celtics 21-13, and when Antetokounmpo returned in the fourth, the Bucks only pressed the action more. Milwaukee took their biggest lead of the night, 91-79, on a driving Eric Bledsoe's finger roll finish with 9:05 left to play. Boston closed within 5 on Al Horford's driving layup less than 2 minutes later, but they would get no closer. Antetokounmpo, coming off a 32-point game on Friday, connected on 15 of 22 shots from the field and pulled down 16 rebounds. Bledsoe and Chris Middleton added 13 points apiece, and George Hill added 15 points off the bench. Kyrie Irving led the Celtics with 23 points and 10 assists, but made just 7 of 22 shots from the field. Overall, the Celtics made just 37.8% of their shots and heard boos from the home field as they left the court. Meanwhile, Tiger Woods, fresh off his epic comeback victory in the Masters, was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Donald Trump at the White House on Monday. Presenting the golfing great with the nation's highest honor, Trump praised Woods' relentless will to win. Woods, 43, choked up as he thanked his mother, his 2 children, his girlfriend, and his caddy during the ceremony in the White House Rose Garden. He said his Masters victory was probably the highlight of what I have accomplished so far in my life in the golf course. And these are the stories for EN Sports. I'm Ben Bernaldez and I'm 1 with 25.
Our ABC correspondent from Milan, Lynn Jane Bulaklak, takes us on a short trip to Pila Snowland. Watch this.
Today we will have a quick weekend away and we are going to Pila
Snowland is in the middle of the smallest region in Italy.
the Aosta Valley at 1,800 meters terrace with view from Mont Blanc to Grand Commune, Matterhorn to Monte Rosa. Historically, the Aosta Valley has been viewed as land of contact and conjecture between Italy and France, such is also reflected in its official bilingualism and its special status as autonomous region. The resort with their great hospitality and offer of tourist services are perfectly suited for a family holiday on the snow, where they promote a fundamental element of fun and safety.
Instead of spending your weekend at home, go for a quick trip and make it memorable with family and friends. Reporting here in Aosta Valley, I am Linjay Bulaklak, EBC Italy correspondent, and I am 1 with 25.
Thank you, Lynn Jane.
Thank you, Lynn. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr, also check out our boards on Pinterest and pictures on Instagram. I'm Sam Cepeda, thanks for joining us.
And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angeles, and we're 1 with 25.